What's up, party people? Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to talk about the Resto Druid. So I know I've been hesitant on making a Resto Druid 10.2 guide, and a lot of people keep asking me about it. So I'm gonna put something out here. The reason I was hesitant is nothing's changed. If you guys have seen my guides, you know what I'm going to talk about. But I'm going to keep this one quick. I'll just do a relink of the builds and what the gearing is looking like. But if you guys do want more in-depth info, like more playstyle, gameplay, and everything like that, I'm definitely I'll recommend watching my other videos. I have a really good 2v2 guide that kind of goes over all of the utility that Resto Druid has. It applies to threes as well. And then I have a solo shuffle guide on more so how I'm playing in solo shuffle. But just for the sake of 10.2, because I know I just keep getting questions on what I'm running, I will throw this out to you guys. So I do have a few different builds. So first off here, I'll go over solo shuffle build. So this is the solo shuffle build that I have. I honestly, dude, I haven't played a game of solo shuffle on Resto Druid because I don't know if y'all have played 10.2 solo shuffle yet, but it's an absolute disaster. There's too much damage. It's just it's not fun for anybody unless you're a demon hunter. But this is the build that I do have. I used to run maim in my solo shuffle build, but at the moment damage is too high. So I did stick with rake. But going more into the increased range for those increased range clones. Alternatively, if you do need to run Nature's Cure, I will usually drop Well-Honed Instincts for it. Well-Honed Instincts is good for sure, but it's only triggered once every 2 minutes. It's not the biggest deal in solo shuffle, to be honest. It's not going to save you with damage being that high. And then on this side, kind of just a cookie cutter build. Okay, some people were asking why I started running Wild Synthesis. I found out that this was purge protection. I didn't know that when this first came out, so it is good to have, especially versus some of the purge comps. So like if you triple tree, it throws 3 mini wild growth. So the hot itself is negligible, but the fact that it is purge protection is really nice. Like if you're playing with a mage that alter times or something, just you don't want to get purged. Alternatively, if you do need inner peace, this is what I will swap out. So like let's say you are versing a Windwalker and they're going you, definitely going to want to swap that over just to make sure that you don't get knocked up in your tranks. But yeah, that's it. And then also, if there are comps that you do want to run tree, like people ask, do you run tree form? Most of the time, no. If it is an affliction lock lobby or just some ridiculously high damage, which is pretty likely, honestly, I will drop germination for tree. So I drop these 2 points for these 2 points. But to be honest, man, it kind of just depends on the situation. Like this is the alternative, right? You have germination, which is an extra hot. I know our master is a little bit low now, but you know it's going to be like masters at what, 18, just about 18 right now. It's 18% reduced healing on a single target potentially, and it's not like this is super high burst. This is just super high damage all the time. So germination I think still has more value in general, but comps that are just ridiculously high burst, so kind of like mostly affliction locks, honestly. Affliction locks, maybe double DH would be good to run this and just pair this with meta. But you will only get one off on the the second meta. If the second metas are kind of effed, but might be able to pair well with that first meta because you do get those extra trees that pop out. But again, the passive healing of germination is really strong, and a lot of times when I play trees, there's a lot of overhealing involved in it. So yeah, that's about it. This is also a threes build. Okay, let me note that. I have 2 different threes builds. This would be a threes build that I'm cloning heavy on, okay? So if there is a comp that I'm playing that I need to clone a lot, aka like maybe double melee. If I'm playing with Ret Warrior, you're not going to need to stun and be in there at all, so you're going to want to have some range and some clones. So this is what I would play in a range 3s scenario. In a 2 scenario where I want to get stunned, so if I'm playing with double caster, for example, I drop this side and I go for maim and tireless pursuit. The reason I go all the way down tireless pursuit is because it kind of helps me getting out of these sticky situations. But I did stick with running down the defensive tree because threes, if a lot of times when you are playing double caster, you're the weak spot. Everybody knows that you're the Resto Druid. Hitting the Resto Druid versus double caster is always the best option, whether it's swapping or finding opportunities. If I push in for a maim, trying to instantly swap me. So I did opt to still keep some of those tankier talents. So this is the build that I have for threes with casters, or just threes comp where you're not heavily cloning. Okay, and again, if you're not getting used to a maim, don't run maim. Okay, just run the other build. Know your own strengths and weaknesses. I'm very comfortable finding opportunities to get combo points and to find maims. If that's not you, you're not there yet, don't worry about it. Just don't play maim. Play the other build. Okay, now let's go into 2s. 2s, I have 2 options, okay? I have a hybrid build, which is what I would use playing with melee. So if I'm playing with a warrior, or I had to switch some of these talents around. Hold up. Probably would go. Honestly, this is probably going to be the swap point, huh? So this is what if I'm playing with like a warrior, a rogue, something where you don't need a stun. But do know there are some comps that are with melee that you do want to stun with. Sometimes with rogues, if it's an Asher rogue at least, it's actually good to have stuns sometimes, because if you're in, let's say you're in voice, he's going to call out his kidney on the main target. You could go for a maim or a bash or a rake on the off target into clone, and then bank your combo points, wait for the next one. Rinse and repeat. And then also in twos in general, because of Master Shapeshifter, it's actually, if you guys have watched me play twos at all, I have played about 40 games, I've lost one. Like, the mana is ridiculous. You cannot If you are playing, if you are maiming on cooldown and using Convoke, which I'm using Convoke in all my twos builds, it's impossible to like literally impossible. You don't have to drink at all. So there's an option if you guys have been, worrying about in twos. Throw some Convokes in there. Master Shapeshifter Convoke. So again, this is, I don't play this that often, but this is an option if I was playing like with a rogue. And what I would try to do is would clone, stun clone, and then pop Convokes, boomy form Convokes onto the kidney target, and then reclone off. And I would just kind of be more of a passive play. And, for all these builds, you could definitely swap around Nature's Cure. So, like, the 2% healing, I know it's 2% healing, but to be honest, man, Resto Druid's so freaking broken that 2% healing doesn't matter. But, if you did feel more comfortable, you could also swap it in, swap Well-Honed Instincts. You could drop Maim. I wouldn't recommend dropping Maim just because that's kind of the whole point of combo points. It feels weird. It feels very bad having combo points, but nothing to use them on. Using rips are kind of the damage is really bad for pretty much all damage. I know they buff Shred. That's kind of awkward. Shred's actually almost stronger, percentage wise than Bite is now, which is kind of weird, but it is what it is. Anyway, so that is the twos hybrid build. So that's going to be more of the playing with a melee. And twos with what I normally play. So if you guys watch me play twos, I typically play with warlocks and mages, or just casters in general, because it just fits my play style better, because I could play more aggressive. Typically, if you watch my 2v2 guide, I talk about this and I break down every single comp. You do want to play more aggressive with casters to get stuns. Okay, I am like literally a sub rogue for these guys. I am kidneying on cooldown. This is a maim is a 20-second cooldown. If y'all ain't using maim on cooldown, man, you guys don't know how broken this shit is. Like, I am every 20 seconds I'm giving a 5-second stun, and typically it's going to be combined with a rake if I get a re-stealth or a bash. So it's massive amount of stuns. I am running kick. If there are scenarios where you don't need kick, I would kind of opt more to go to the the hybrid build, which would be basically just dropping these all these talents here. I guess it kind of messes this up, huh? Because you have to go to feline swiftness. And you probably you still get extra points actually, so that actually could work. You could run if you don't want to play kick. This is actually a good alternative. I should probably make another build, and then I could I could run like I would like to run Stampeding Roar. Stampeding Roar is really nice for some speed, man. And then I don't know. You can go maybe Star Surge. But to be honest, man, I've found Star Surge pretty underwhelming myself, because especially unless you're in Boom Conform, it doesn't really feel worth. So, but anyway, that's actually a good idea. I should probably make another set. But kick has almost always come in handy. You're not versing double melee, man. There's always an opportunity to kick something, whether it's a Cyclone or a Hex or a Cast or something like that. So, but yeah. And then again, the two side, or I apologize, the spec side, I forgot. I apologize. I didn't talk about this in the last build, but all I did was just swap the Germination talents into Convoke, just like you would do for True Form. Just making them into Convoke. And yeah, I think that's about it. Oh, I do opt to run Waking Dream in twos, just simply because you have a lot more downtime in twos, right? So let me see some of these games. These games were, oh, this is threes. Hold on. All right, this twos games. Wait, it's actually, dude, I feel like these twos games were such a terrible indicator. We won all of these games within under 2 minutes. Like literally every one of these games was ridiculously fast. Okay, Ysera's Gift actually seems really weak. Okay, if Ysera's Gift is weak, I'm actually gonna probably opt to change this. I think alternatively it would probably be, man, these are probably Imp Regrowth, huh? Not really that great of an option. So I guess, you know, or I guess you can go for Purge Protection with the Wild Synthesis. Regoat seems to be typically a little bit better in 2s because, if anything, you're going to have to cast a few times just to keep your teammate up. I don't know. I'm kind of up in there in that last town. Fuck it. Anyway, PvP talents, Focus Growth, Keepers of the Grove, Call the Elder Druid is what I'm normally playing. In 3s and Solo Shuffle, you may opt to go for something different. 2s is I always play Elder Druid because I always play Convoke. Let me just show you really quick my uses of it. Just always make sure you're being mindful of it, right? So this is the opener that I do is, let's say we got 2 targets. Whatever target I want to kill, that's the target I'm stunning second, okay? So whatever target I want to CC, so let's say I'm in stealth, I go over to this guy, I rake, go behind the pillar, clone him, shift him, initiate the Heart of the Wild, you know, run in there, bash, and then I Convoke. That's typically my openers are going to be, and then depending on the situation, so like when I'm playing with Arcane Mage that's bursting in the opener, I'm going to immediately maim a second out of that rake stun, so or bash. So I bash and immediately I don't always finish the Convoke. I'll just maim out of it, so I get a nice double stun for my guy to get a massive opener every game. And like I said, almost all of these games were ridiculously fast. These 2s games that I had, 1 minute, 2 minutes. I had 1 4-minute game. You know, 30 seconds, 50 seconds, 1 minute. I mean, I know. You know, granted, some of these are placements, but even some of these other ones are not placements. We just absolutely demolish people in the openers if you're playing comps like that. But yeah, and then, oh yeah, alternatively, you know, the one other trick that I could say, obviously just be mindful of this cooldown. So like if you do shift into bear form, you're going to trigger it. The only other trick that I could mention with it is like, let's say you're in combat, right? And what you can do, let's say this is off cooldown, right? It takes 6 seconds for someone to drop combat. If you need a stun, let's say you don't have a maim stun ready, or you don't have a bash, and you don't have a shadow meld. The other alternative would be, so let's say I throw my last few hots on the target. I run behind the pillar, 1, 2, 3, 4, shift, drop combat, and then I go in, stun, Convoke. That's the only other trick I can mention with you is just shift right before you drop combat, so that you can use that rake stun to get the Convokes off. That would be the only other alternative that I would mention for you. Yep, that's it for alternative PvP talents. So if you don't have opportunities to play Elder Druid, you know, even in some of the 3s comps like Solo Shuffle, I still don't think it's a bad option, because sometimes there's no other good options to pick. So like, let's say you're in a lobby where there's no purges, you don't need resin, high winds is kind of meh. You know, I would probably opt to go it used to be called Ult the Elder Druid, Call of the Elder Druid, and just go Moon Conform and throw in Star Surges or Star Fires. You don't even need a Star Surge, honestly, because I don't think I was even running Star Surge in my build. I'm sorry, it's gonna wait 8 more seconds so I can swap this. But yeah, so it's either gonna be most often reactive resin. You can maybe run Thorns, but honestly, is Thorns gonna stop anything? Probably not. Maybe in a longer term game that it would kind of in dampening beat somebody up a bit, but yeah, I don't even play Star Surge. It just doesn't seem like worth the global a lot of times. But you could even just opt to, you know, just go Moon Conform, and throw in Starfires. I would always throw Starfire, not Wrath, again because you're global locked. You know, throwing 100Ks would definitely be useful for sure. But that would probably be the extent that I do anything offensive in Solo Shuffle in terms of damage, because it's just honestly the damage coming out is just way too high to be able to actually do anything. That actually reminds me, I need to put my flat macro on here. This is if you guys do play Moonkin form at all, you know, if you're not used to being a Moonkin main. On that note, let's do some macros really quick. I don't really use macros, but I guess I'll just talk about them really quick. So just some quick macros that I use. I use Innervate Self macro so that you don't have to click on yourself. So it's just /cast target equals player, Innervate, that's it. And you can show tooltip on it, but it doesn't really matter. Drink macro, cast noform to cat form. I could just copy paste this in the description, but just the drinking macro. And I do like a party drinking thing. It doesn't work in Solo Shuffle, obviously, but you know, that's there for you. I have a focus root. I don't really use this one. I use this for Boomy. Cancel form wild charge. So being able to leap to your teammates. Sky Alliance. Yes. So having this one button here will just drop you out of form and leap you to your teammate. Really useful for kiting. It's always better to no form wild charge than to travel form leap. Travel form leap is a little bit slower, so if possible, you always want to do that for that. This was a hibernate macro, which I don't use often. Sometimes I actually will throw in hibernates against Resto Druids if it's not a super high game. Like I might actually drop like one in here and just go into hibernate and kind of fuck with people, because more than half of these Resto Druids are rerolled and they don't know what hibernate is, and they will get caught by it, and one hibernate can win you the game. On the night of hibernate, if someone does hibernate you, the slim chance, make sure you have a cancelform macro, because you can shift out of form in any CC. You could be in a stun, you could be in a fear, you can shift out at the same time. Cancelform is just /cancelform, and I would recommend always putting that on its own bind so that you can shift out quickly. So that's how you're able to kite a lot quicker. If a DK is spamming Chains of Ice on you, you can shift in, shift out, shift in, shift out over and over again, and you'll be able to work that out for you. What I was saying with the Moonkin form. So with my wild charge, I just macro flap to it. Yeah, this could actually be really useful if you haven't messed around with flap. I think it's a glyph you have to get still, but being able to just jump and then flap, you get a lot more distance. And if you do have any sort of lip or leverage, or I guess height in a map, so like for example, Blaze Edge Arena, or not Blaze, yeah, Blaze Edge, or Dalaran or Mugambala, which is a solo shuffle map. If you're on the top, you could jump off. Let me just show you really quick. Hold up. Let me just show you the example here. So, let's say I'm on the top of Mugambala up here, and you're getting trained. You can hit this, you just spam it, and you'll see a flap will get you a lot more distance if you are trying to get away from somebody. Or sometimes what you might see people do is, let's say you're, let's say this guy's the healer, okay? Actually, no, that's not a good example. Hold on. Let's say, I apologize, I'm kind of just off the cuff on this one, on this guy, guys. Let's say this dude, this big, whatever animal this is, Tuskar, is the healer, right? I put a mark on him. Okay, that's the healer back there, and he's behind a pillar. What you could actually do is you could come over here. Let's say you're popping your hots on this guy, or whatever. You could go Moonkin form, leap, flap, bash. I should have did a target that I can actually cat bash. Because the distance is pretty close, you can do that without, worrying about leaping to them, I guess, and shifting forms, but it doesn't matter. It's not that big of a deal. I don't know why I went on with that, but anyway, that's kind of macros on there. And then the only other macro I use is Focus Cyclone. That's about it. And I don't even use a Focus Bash. I have a Focus Bash, but I don't use it. I just use regular bash. I just click targets and tab target. But yeah. I think that's it, right? And then NS macro, sorry. NS macro, which is /cast interest rotation /cast regrowth. Note you do need to double click this because the regrowth is not off GCD. And where was the Cyclone macro? Cyclone. I guess it must be in here. Cyclone, just /cast at focus Cyclone. Yeah. So in terms of the gear, that reminded me I have that there. In terms of the gearing, it's just gonna be the same thing as last season. You're just going to max. Me personally, I go for 26.2, 26.1. I think it actually might be haste. So the two haste breakpoints. We'll see what the stats are gonna put us at. But 26 haste or 36 haste are your two options for haste. Because of the breakpoint on the Cyclone cast. So if you're at 26. So like right now, for example, before I trigger combat, you'll see my clone is 1.4. I get in combat, I'm at 26.3, it goes to 1.3. If I was running more haste, which I had 2 sets last season, I would have just a little bit more haste on one of them. And if you go to 36, your clone will go to 1.2, which is really fast. It's really fast. And so that's your other option to go for that. But I think odds are with the damage being as high as it is, you're probably gonna want a little bit more verse, just for more throughput healing and just more survivability in general. So we'll see what happens when we get full geared, but odds are I'm going to be just making sure that I'm at least 26. I think it's like 26.1 or 2, 0.1 or 0.2 haste. Just always check your cyclones, see what the cast is at, because that's like the most important thing when it comes to haste, in my opinion. Otherwise, max out your mastery, max out your verse. More mastery is your priority though. So for right now I have double rings. I just got the. I'm gonna get the Conquest ring next. I just bought the honor one. So I have the honor one and then the crafted one just for double mastery. The pieces that I bought this week, first off, so I got the precog. I got haste mastery waist with the precog on it, and then next week I'm going to craft probably the blue silken, the mastery embellishment on a ring with haste mastery, just to drop down my verse. I do not need this much verse. And then, yeah, no, you don't need crazy amount of burst. I honestly prefer a lot more haste. I think this season I probably will be going for that 36 breakpoint because I feel like we're able to get, I think it's going to be pretty easy to get. And in terms of tier sets, I bought the gloves with my conquest points, and then with the 1600 token, I bought the legs. We are going to be running 4-set. 4-set, you're going to end up running is going to be is everything except for the helm. Helm is heavy crit. We don't need crit, so you'll be running the rest of it. You know, 2-set, 4-set. Just honestly, you don't even have to think about doing anything differently. You just play normally. Your trees will just do more healing, and then you 4-set whenever you consume a clear casting, which is when you have the green shit on your screen, the free regrowths. You're just gonna randomly nourish another teammate. So it's just passive healing. You don't have to think about doing anything special. And yeah, that's it. And like I said, mastery everything around. You know, your gems are most likely going to be mastery haste. Unless if you feel like your haste is too high, you don't need any more haste, you can go for more burst, absolutely. And just max out that mastery, man. Yeah, I think I kind of covered it all. This is way longer than I thought it was going to be. But there it is. I hope you guys enjoy. If you guys have any questions, feel free to come by the stream or let me know in the comments. Have a great day. You're wonderful. Keep good looking.